provocative return at the airport, the tourists were chased away. They could not even, some of them could not board their flights. The members of the public who worked there were scared because of his supporters who came there. They jumped everywhere. That was unfortunate, and we must call it for what it is. If he wanted to come back, he would have come back in a dignified manner, address his supporters, and give them the policy statement that he came with. There was none. We saw violence while the police were trying to quell this. That was unfortunate. I also must say that I condemn in the strongest terms possible the goons that, for one or two reasons, tried to intercept him and his people. That was not necessary. And lastly, Dibal, I want to say, you know, we are talking about corruption. And the questions that we must ask ourselves, they are very difficult questions. Because you see, we are at a time when cases built by EACC, they stall because files are thin. Witnesses, you know, are unprotected. The political class distort the facts, and the result has been always corrosive. Why is it that the ODPP take longer to investigate some of these issues, and when they present their findings in court, their findings cannot hold, and therefore there is no conviction? And where there are convictions, they are isolated. That is the issue we must raise. It is not about William Ruto. Somebody mentioned here, I don't know, William Ruto is the master of corruption. It's not about William Ruto anymore. It's about this country. And the people mentioning that, they're forgetting that their leader, in some of the 11 charges that led to his impeachment, there were issues to do with economic crimes. So it is about the people of Kenya. And I like how Dr. Jambo put it, because it is about the people of Kenya. In my view, Dibal, I strongly believe that the coming together of the two parties, now that Javas, the vice chair, is here, was a good symbol, because the issues that they were being talked about at the parliamentary group were issues of corruption as part of it. In fact, in the 10-point agenda, corruption is part of it, for how to fight corruption. In the NADCO report, where I was one of the assisting technical teams, it was a big issue on how to stop it. So the joint parliamentary group that was co-chaired by President William Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, in my view, signified a turning point in this country. In fact, it was more than a symbolic theater, because it resets our governance structure. Now that the members of parliament are feeling like, you know, they must mention these names that are perceived to be corrupt or alleged to be corrupt, that is the starting point. Then came the issue of NGCDF. Again, that is another source of corruption, where members of parliament have misused that money to either buy votes or to do funny things. So I think we should be very careful when we discuss this issue. It's not about political contest, but it's about issues of concern. The concern that the people of Kenya have is today, they lack, they don't trust the government of the day. Neither do they trust their leaders. So if that is the issue, and we are given a platform here to articulate some of these issues, these are form of participation that we must take seriously. We must devoid ourselves from political persuasion and take serious issues with this matter. I hold the view that as we go forward, the fight against corruption, whether small as Professor Getile calls it, or big as the ones that was level against Rigathi and team, we must use all the necessary means to fight corruption. And earlier round I said, and I want to repeat, I said that for us to do this, there are certain things that we must now start thinking about, so that we stop, or we be seen to be fighting corruption. And number one, I said, in fighting corruption, we have a weak link called the ODPP. The prosecutorial independence and its capacity has been fortified. If we don't strengthen that institution and allow them to be independent from political persuasion, interference, and produce a work that can stand the test in a court of law, then we'll be doing nothing. Secondly, the witnesses that have always come up in big scandals, big corruption cases, how do we protect them so that we move forward without them being targeted in some of these grand corruption cases? And then now we can get to the bottom of the matter. And then thirdly, the use of technology. Today, the government of Kenya has done something that we must appreciate. The procurement, I started by saying that. When you go into the procurement department of the government of William Ruto today, you do e-procurement. Whether you are procuring a paper, you must go through e-procurement. The reason why this is important to me is because technology can narrow discretion in procurement. Things like licensing and frontline service delivery, these digital trails are harder to doctor than paper ones that we have been having before. And finally, Dibal, transparency. I say it here and I repeat. For as long as we have no transparent processes, whether they're in the judiciary, executive, or in the legislature, then we shall be doubting ourselves and our leaders. And that's how you brew corruption. So I submit by saying that all these things we are saying, they might appear political, they might have heavy political sentiments, but at the end of the day, the people of Kenya want to know, how are we moving forward? How are we progressing? Those who call themselves united opposition, if they were in government today, they will be criticized the same. But today, the intention that has been demonstrated by William Ruto to fight corruption, you can call him all names you want, you can call him whatever you want, but he has demonstrated that he wants to fight corruption. The opposition has not given us a counter. What are they saying in fighting corruption? What are the cogent solutions they are offering in fighting corruption? Instead, we're being told of one term, Ruto must go, Ruto is a liar, it was a diversional tactic. What are they telling us? That is what we want to hear, so that we table, ideas, and it is a contest of ideas, not a contest of who shouts loudest, who has got the ability, to get to the strategy of disappearing and coming back and being welcome. No, that's not what we want to hear. We want to see. In my view, I would encourage Senator Cherargei and team. Let them allow the president to come to parliament and give evidence. In fact, he doesn't even need to come. He can send it through a document and it can be tabled in parliament. If those names are investigated and found to be culpable, then the law should take its course. And we would want to see us winning as a people. Because when you take money meant for hospitals, you are actually killing. You should be charged by death. When you take money meant for roads, you are actually killing through road accidents, through bad road. You should be charged by death. When you take money meant for education, you are denying our children opportunity to learn in classes. You should be charged by death. That's what we are saying. So Cherargei and the team, we encourage you. Members of parliament, we encourage you. And Javas and the team, we want to see you do what you know best, because the implementation of this 10-point agenda and the NADCO report, that is where the solution is. Don't be distracted by people like Ndegwa and Njiru who are telling you are doing nothing. You have the powers of this nation in your heart. Please go ahead and tell Kenyans what must be done, because that is what we want to hear. Those are reports that came from the people. They are concerns of the people, and those people want to see that implemented. It is until then that we can now start saying we are making progress. We cannot go into the next election and we are still talking about Ruto must go. Ruto is a liar. Ruto is corrupt. What are you saying? What are you doing about yourself, about corruption? What are you doing about education? You yourself, what are you doing about uniting people? Or is about fight? We want to see a united nation, a nation that speaks the truth when they have to, a nation that must call it out when it is wrong. And last time I was here and I said, we have a leader. For some of us who subscribe to the Raila Odinga School of Politics, when something is right, he says it. When it is wrong, he says it. He has told president several times on his face that you must stop these killings, you must stop these abductions. And the president committed to stop that. And now we are seeing compensation going to happen. The Professor Makau-led team is going to go and compensate. And we have said from our end, that compensation without justice is not enough. We must also go to the bottom of getting justice. So we are saying that all these things require sober minds, and let's allow the country to heal. Let's allow the leaders to change. Let's allow them to work. Even when we criticize, you might not like President Ruto, Ndegwa. For some of me, I didn't even vote for Ruto, but I am convinced that he has managed to bring this country together. All I need for people of Kenya to work together is unity. That's why we can even converge here today. If we were fighting and we are not united, we don't even speak here. So let's give credit where it is due. I submit.
Can I say something?
Thank you, Fred. Yes, Prof, over to you. I was just coming to you.
Okay.
Prof.
Asante sana. I like the passion that is being exhibited here. I think it's good. It's good for democracy. I want to just explain what I meant when I said about the police corruption. I'm looking at the magnitude because I compared the police corruption with the parliament. The magnitude here matters. The police, I mean, you are going to Naivasha, you're overspeeding. Some fellow stops you, instead of taking you to court, insists on 200 involved. You give him 200, you go to the nearest kiosk, he takes tea. Money circulate, and you, instead of going to spend the day in the court answering into a traffic offense, you go and do whatever it is. I call this facilitation of commerce. Now, it's the same thing with these members of parliament. They are given 10,000 or 20,000. If you calculate the 10 million, that's nothing. Okay? The biggest corruption is the one done by the executive, by the government. And that's where you need to go. They are moving around the country with the millions, telling us is empowerment. Which budgetary line item can you locate that money? Okay, so what we are saying here is this is politics. Nobody will be arrested. Nothing will go to that parliament. This was just anti-virtual tactics from very damaging report from from the Auditor General on the e-citizen. Okay, very damaging report on millions being wired to non-existent schools. It's very easy to know where that money is going. And you can't tell me that you are doing that without the government knowing. The government knows everything. This is a very strong state. So the other thing, just to correct my friend about motivation theories. In governance, intention is actually completely nothing. If you're going to reward intention, you won't get nobody doing anything. They will tell you that and just go and read the motivation theories. Now, the president didn't even indicate intention, in my opinion. He's simply playing politics with a bad situation. The situation is impunity. We have cultivated impunity from 1963. Ruto is just part of it. He is not the cause of it, neither will he be the end of it, until as a country we make the decision that this thing is not sustainable and deal with it with the finality. So if he meant well, he would have announced the restatement of all those cases and allow the courts to process them. That didn't happen. Okay? He would tell us where those millions being wired to schools, because that's an easy thing to find. Who is receiving the money? Who is wiring it to the non-existent schools? The government will tell us where the 44.8 billion, the one noted again the other day, told us where did the money go. Not just that. How do you buy 104 billion of a program, which is not even a military program, health program? So the point is, we have entrenched impunity. And we don't have a government, a Kenyan government, to deal with it. The Kibaki government did not do it, which I consider to be the first Kenyan government since independence. They came, we had the Anglo-Leasing, I think, under Kibaki. We had the Triton, I think, under Kibaki. He didn't go after the crimes committed by Moi administration, crime committed by Kenyatta one. Okay? The other day here, if you look at, you try to look at the debt. Okay, there's nearly 4 trillion. Uhuru Kenyatta can't explain where that money specifically went. So this thing is this political class protecting each other to rob you. And you are here fighting one another. When you should be soberly saying, wait a minute, what you have told us is fantastic, Mr. President. Can you please reinstate those cases you removed? Can you tell us who is receiving the billions and going to non-existent schools? You see that you were up you. But here, whether it's Njeru or my friend Okango, you people, the political class very brilliantly makes you fight here. Meanwhile, they milk you up there. And as long as we continue thinking that we are the problem, that you on that side, I'm on the other side, there is no sign here. You are both very poor people, not seeing that you are being cooked. And one example is the way we change positions. The moment you go into government, everything is fantastic. The moment you leave government, this is bad. I like what Okango said. That is not enough to compensate. That impunity must end. That you have to have prosecutions. And you have to dismantle the systems that allow violations. I think if it's done that comprehensively, we can say that we are starting somewhere. So I would request that let's be sober. I mean, there is nothing personal here. What we need to do is, if it is corruption, let's discuss corruption. Let's not bring Manyora. Let's not bring President Ruto. Let's not bring those one time. I think those are irrelevancies here. They can come during the electioneering period. But right now, we are talking about corruption, and we are saying how it is damaging the country, and we are saying, okay, the president has said he wants to fight it. That's all he has said, that he wanted to, but he has not done it. So we would like to pressure him, to tell him as citizens, we please would like to see you do it. You can start by telling us where you are getting the money for empowerment, which is, I mean, of course, we know what an empowerment is supposed to be. It's supposed to be an investment in education, investment in health. You can't tell me you're empowering a graduate, an engineering graduate, by giving him a car washing machine or giving him Bonda. My friend, are we the best in Bondarines in Africa? You are telling these people that is their level. I mean, they went to get an engineering degree. They went to get a medical degree so that they can become a Bondarindra or an economics degree. So this is what we need to be discussing, because that is a part of corruption. And I agree also with, I don't know if it's Sherenge or someone who said, when you go in and you're espousing policies of another party, that is corruption. It is corruption because it's violation of law. Any violation of law, in my opinion, is corruption. It's impunity. We should insist on ending impunity conclusively. If Ruto can do it, he won't get my support. Because if he does that, he would have saved this country for future generations. But as it is right now, his intention, and I would like my friend to go and look at the motivation theories. You will understand why in governance, intention is never rewarded. Thank you, Aijiron Duba.
Thank you so much. Intention is never rewarded. That is the motive.